Hi, I'm April Paige, and welcome to the Death Collective, a space for real conversations about death, grief, and everything in between. Death is something that every one of us will face in some way, yet it is one of the hardest things to talk about. So many of us are taught to stay silent in our grief, to be strong, to move on, even when our hearts are breaking. My own journey through this work began through very personal loss. I lost both my brother and a former partner to suicide. Those losses changed the way I see life, love, pain, and healing. They cracked me open in ways I never expected. They also show me how powerful it is to speak what hurts instead of carrying it alone. I want to take a moment to reflect on that. It wasn't until after I lost my former partner to suicide that I really gained a bigger understanding about grief. See, often in our society, we are taught or we just practice when someone passes on or there is some kind of ending that we just do, we go back to our normal lives. We have the services, if it's a memorial service, funeral services, and we just go back to our everyday lives. But what often is lost in the middle of all of that is the person who is experiencing the deepest grief. And usually it's the person that's closest to that individual. You could be far away. Maybe you lost contact with that individual and there is some unhealed work that needs to be processed. So oftentimes those people are left to navigate that journey alone. We don't want to talk about death, right? It's not pretty. It's dark sometimes. It's heavy. And honestly, we're just not taught to talk about it. So, through my own grief, I learned that silence can be just as painful as the loss itself. And that when we create space to talk honestly about death, we also create space for connection with others, understanding, and healing. When I talk about death, I'm not just not talking about just the loss of physical life. Some of the deepest grief that we'll experience in our lives, we experience from other kind of endings. The death of a relationship. It could be your marriage or a friendship. It could be your best friend. It could be the loss of a job or an identity. Maybe it's moving away from a place you've called home. It also is something about letting go of a future that you once thought you were going to have. All of these transitions can be just as painful and disorienting. I created the Death Collective because I believe no one should have to navigate these endings alone, but also to have a space to hold the whole truth, the heartbreak, the confusion, the questions, but also a space for healing and growth and the meaning that comes afterwards. We'll share personal stories here, have conversations with professionals and everyday people just like yourself. We'll explore grief in all of its forms. We'll talk about suicide awareness and support. And we'll also gently discuss end of life awareness and planning. My hope is that in hearing these conversations that you feel less alone, that you recognize your own story in someone else's, and that you begin to trust that even in the midst of the loss, life can still continue to unfold with deeper meaning. No matter what kind of ending you may be navigating now, it could be a loss of a loved one, a relationship, a career, maybe a home, or even a version of yourself that you've been holding on to. I just want you to know that you belong here. If this resonates with you, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel and join the collective. And if you're comfortable, share in the comments what kind of loss or transition brought you here. I am so deeply honored to walk this path with you. I want to thank you for being here, and I look forward to sharing more stories to come. So stay tuned, we will be back, and welcome to the Death Collective.